Before we begin, since this is Aunt Bethany's 80th Christmas, I think she should lead us in the saying of grace.
Great.
What, dear?
They want you to say grace. The blessing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. One nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Welcome, Kate Daly Show. I will be off next week, so I'm doing Christmas a little early. And don't we all need a week off? I encourage you to take a week off if you can, because I know I need it. I got to recharge. So grateful to be able to be with you today. So over the years, I've done a lot of Christmas shows, as you can imagine, and a lot of stories have been told, and every year I play a couple of the same particular stories, which absolutely I love, and I want to share those with you. It's funny because I had a lot on the docket today as far as like current events, and could we go there? Yeah. Do I want to? No. So I don't, it just, this year has been a lot. This year's been a tough year. And so sometimes it's really good to focus on Christmas, or to focus on the meaning of Christmas, focus on what we've got, and what Christmas represents, most importantly. And I think reflection is good. I think reflection is good. And I think kind of bringing it back to the basics, the roots, and getting together, with friends and family. And if you're particularly, feeling alone this holiday season, I've had a holiday like that. I had a holiday by myself, and I had a holiday in my mid-20s like that. And it was really, really, really hard. And I remember just feeling like, very alone. And I was pregnant, and I was on my own, and I was just about to have my first baby. And it wasn't a good time for me. It was really a hard time. And I had a lot of depression, and it was just really, really tough. And because I was on my own, and I just remember feeling like, is anyone else feeling this way? Because it looks like everyone's really happy. And I remember thinking, I'm not, and this is miserable. And I was scared to have my first baby, especially on my own. And the person involved had left, and so I was, it was a lonely time. And I just want you to know, if you're feeling that way, if you're alone out there, and you're just feeling like it's a sucky Christmas, I just want you to know that you'll get through it. You'll get through it. And this year can be a super big positive experience for you, and you'll get through these holidays. And where everybody seems like they're shiny and happy, that isn't always the case. And not everybody is shiny and happy and doing perfectly, even though Instagram and Facebook will tell you so. That is not the case. And that Christmas really kind of drove it home for me, as far as understanding what people go through and the different things people experience at that time of the year. Because Christmas has always been really, really special for me. I always love Christmas, and I like the decorations, and I like everything about it. This year was a little harder for me, I have to admit. It was a little tougher because it was just harder to get the decorations out and get excited about it. And I don't know what it was. It's just been like a weirder Christmas. I don't know if you guys are having a weird Christmas out there, but I just wanted you guys to know that, if you're feeling by yourself or alone, I've been there. You will get through it. Things will get better. Doors close, windows open. And that's the truth about life. So I think our Father in heaven is very good at stretching us and having us understand that things can get better. And sometimes he has to kind of, help us along in the direction of our lives, and to maybe forge ahead into unknown things. And you probably wouldn't take that leap unless you were forced to. So by experience, right? Or by event, by something happening to you. So a job loss or whatever the case may be, look, it'll get better, I promise. And I want to share with you today some of the things that I've done in the past. And I talked to Father Longnecker. He did I'm going to play just like a couple of minutes of him describing gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I was listening to a very interesting podcast about this. And they were talking about the fact that why did they bring those gifts, the gold, frankincense, and myrrh? Why? Were they just presenting gifts to a baby, or were they going to sort of, kind of anoint Christ to recognize this role in a much bigger way? I don't know. It was just really kind of interesting listening to maybe why those gifts were presented, but and why they traveled so far to give those gifts. Because we're used to singing the song and We Three Kings, and sometimes I don't think we stop to understand. But I remember having Father Longnecker on, and he was talking about the proof. Okay, he was talking about the proof and the proof of the travels of the wise men and how it worked out. And so I was asking him this, and I want to share his answer with you because I thought it was really great, really insightful. So here we go.
Well, frankincense and myrrh were actually, I believe, representative gifts of the Nabatean kingdom. That's where the finest gold in the ancient world was mined. That's where the bushes for frankincense and myrrh actually grew. And so they would have been diplomatic gifts. My theory is that the wise men were emissaries, diplomats from the court of Aretas IV, the king of Nabatea, to King Herod. And that these gifts were intended originally to be diplomatic gifts representative of the Nabatean kingdom to Herod, but then they went and gave them to Jesus instead.
Wow. I love it. The book, The Mystery of the Magi, you've got to get this book. And then also you've been doing some research since we last spoke last year about the shepherds. I'd love to hear this too.
Well, again, it's hard to fit it all into a few minutes, but, again, the idea that we have in our tradition is that the shepherds were these homely, rustic, country bumpkins who were sitting around the campfire and looked up and saw some angels and said, well, let's go into the city and see the little baby boy,
Yeah.
And in fact, what we're learning about, if you visit the Shepherd's Cave in Bethlehem, which you can do if you go to pilgrimage there, we will learn that it's much more complicated than that. And very simply put, in Jerusalem on Passover, tens of thousands of lambs would be sacrificed every year for the Passover. And so we asked, where did they get those lambs from? Well, they were actually doing some factory farming on the hills not far from Jerusalem. And the Jewish law said that the Passover lamb had to be raised within 6 miles of Jerusalem. And Bethlehem is just 5 miles away from Jerusalem. So the scholars and historians are beginning to believe that there was actually on the hillsides all over Bethlehem a huge factory farm, basically to raise all of the tens of thousands of lambs that had to be sacrificed every year in the spring. And that therefore the shepherds who were the lambs that were being born in December, and by the way, the breed of sheep in the Middle East is called the Azwazi sheep, and they do not give birth in the spring; they give birth in December. So the shepherds were out there during the lambing season, and the lambs that they were raising were actually had to be checked and purified by the priests because they had to meet the stringent requirements of perfection for the Passover lambs, and that therefore the shepherds were very well educated in the liturgy and the religion of the Jews in order to raise all these Passover lambs. And furthermore, when the lamb would be born, the Passover lamb would be born, it had to be wrapped up safely in cloth and laid in a little hollow, scooped out hollow in the stone, which would normally be used as a manger during the rest of the year. Then the priest would come and inspect it to see that it was actually a perfect lamb that could be used for the sacrifice. So these shepherds, therefore, when the angel said, you will find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes and laying in a manger, They drew, and it said, "This will be a sign unto you." These shepherds knew that they were not going to Bethlehem just to see an ordinary baby. They were going to see the Lamb of God, because this baby was wrapped in swaddling clothes and laying in a manger, just like the lambs that they were raising that night, and wrapping up in cloth and laying in a manger for the inspection. So this gives a huge level of new meaning to the story
Yes,
of the
it
shepherds
does.
as well, which is really very moving, because they were going therefore to see the newborn Lamb of God, and they knew that's what they were going to go and see because of the message of the angel.
Wow. I just, I love kind of hearing a little bit about, he goes on his Magi book, Father Longnecker. You should grab that. It's a good read, and it's all about the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh. And he talks a lot about that, and it's a wonderful book. So, I had him on the show a couple of times actually, and it was really nice. So, I'm going to take call-ins today. I know they'll be random. They always are, but that's okay. And you can talk about Christmas. You can talk about, well, anything, because I've done a lot. I mean, my gosh, we had the false flag show, and I also was talking about a new Charlie Kirk theory and all kinds of things. So I know that you guys probably have some things on your mind about some of the things we've talked about. That show about false flags, we covered a lot of ground. So I just, I know probably heads were spinning a little bit just because it was like a rapid fire, this is this one and this one and this one, because there's so many of them. They're countless. So I just, I want to let you know that you can text in or you can call in, and it's 435-680-2503. And it's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube or X or any of those, Rumble. But it's 435-680-2503. So one of the stories that I do each year, and honestly, there's just so many actually, but one of them, well, here, I wanted to play this for you. This is the first recording actually, and it was Santa. It was a Santa Claus, he called himself. This was 1907, okay? And I want to play this for you because this is in the archives in DC. But this was kind of fun to listen to from 1907. Here you go.
Up got me and broke the sleigh, and I was all covered with snow and ice. Well, they got me straightened out and walked down to the church with me, ringing the sleigh bells to make folks think that Santa Claus was coming. Well, we got down to church, and they put up a ladder to the chimney and told me to climb up it and come down in the chimney, and then they all went into the church and left me there. Well, Ezra Hoskins' dog come along and took the right smart of the important portion of old Santa Claus's pants. Well, I got in that chimney and started down, and I got stuck in the darn thing, and they had to call out the fire department to get me out. And when they got me out, congregation said that was the first time they ever knowed that Santa Claus was a colored man. Well, I broke the 10 Commandments they had framed to hang up on the wall in the church, and I broke a wood box belonging to old Aunt Nancy Smith and a bottle of whiskey that somebody had sent to Jim Lawson, and the congregation said I'd been drinking a right smart, or I was pretty drunk the way the whiskey smelled, and they put me out of church. Now they're talking about having me up in court for impersonating somebody I know there wasn't.
That is honestly, that's one of the first recordings, one of the first several recordings that were recorded. And that was a Santa Claus talking about his journey. But I thought that was really cute. I wanted to share that with you. I've shared it before, but I just thought it was good. So I also wanted to share with you the Paul Harvey Christmas message. I thought this was always just really fun to listen to at this time of year. Here you go.
You know, the real miracle of Christmas is that any religious significance remains. Despite the gaudy tinsel wrapping, the meaning of the Christ Mass remains somehow intact. Though our eager eyes now search the skies for man-made stars, we yet remember best the one which once upon a time stood still over a stable. This is the miracle of Christmas. Not that so many profane the day with self-indulgence, but that so many still trudge through the snow to an early service or a midnight mass. If after generations of effort we still tend to disparage the day, what do you suppose would happen if we instead renewed it? There are no more lengths to which we can go to dilute its significance. Perhaps we should revert to reverence. For if this magic day, despite the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, has somehow survived and thrived, my goodness, with proper care and tending, the love it represents might heal all of our hurts. The faith we could not starve to death, properly fed just once each year, might overwhelm the world. Anyway, we've tried everything else. The revitalization of Christmas will be as tedious as its erosion was gradual, but there's no better time than right now, because it's later than it's ever been. Where do we begin? With prayerful thankfulness, I think. Merry Christmas, we traditionally say to one another. Merry Christmas. Yet that's not the larger meaning of the day. It's his birthday, not ours.
Don't you love that? I love that. I really do. So I wanted to share that with you. There's a couple things I'm going to be sharing today, but I also wanted to share the Christmas care package. I've always loved this. I think because food is such a huge thing at my house, and I love our traditions and the food we make, and I love being in the kitchen. I actually really love like to bake and cook. So this really got me because I understand how food is tied to what we do, right? So this is Leonard Lee Smith with the Christmas package. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Leonard Lee Smith.
It was Christmas time, 1974. I was 10 years old, but I wasn't looking forward to Christmas that year. The previous spring, my mother and the man who was to become my stepfather when all the divorces had been finalized and he and my mother could marry, had moved us from rural central Alabama to sunny Southern California. My brother and I were leaving behind our father and all our extended family. This would be my first Christmas away from Alabama. My beautiful and elegant mother took to California like a swan to a royal lake. My soon-to-be stepfather was a California native. My very athletic little brother reveled in a temperate climate that allowed him to be outside 11 months of the year. I, however, was a fat, awkward child with a high-pitched voice and a heavy Southern accent. I was having extreme difficulty with the transition to a West Coast lifestyle. My first day at my new school, I walked to the front of my 4th grade class to introduce myself. All I said was my name and where I was from, and the class erupted in laughter with jeers of, "He talks funny and he has a weird accent." It took the teacher nearly 2 full minutes to restore order, and she was angry at me for having caused a disruption. I was so disillusioned after that first day that instead of walking home after school, I went to a nearby gas station and used a phone booth there to try and place a collect call to Granny Smith, my paternal grandmother. She was my biggest ally. I was going to ask her if I could return to Alabama and live with her, and if she would send me the money for a bus ticket home. But despite several attempts, the line was busy and I never got through. My mother was constantly encouraging, nagging, and badgering me to lose weight, and always trying to help with that endeavor with whatever the latest diet craze was. She had been a fat child herself, but with puberty, she had gained height and lost weight and undergone the proverbial ugly duckling transformation to become a great beauty in high school. She saw weight loss as the panacea of all problems and believed it to be the key to my happiness. She was very relieved to have me away from the annual holiday sugar binges and weight gain that my Granny Smith's cooking provided. Granny Smith was for me everything good about Christmas. Her language of love was food. She was an excellent baker and candy maker. She would cook for weeks in preparation for Christmas Eve, when all of her children and grandchildren would gather at her house. Every favorite dish, dessert, and confection had been made to specification. Her table and sideboard groaned under the weight of all of the food. My brother, my cousins, and I would burst through her kitchen door, brimming with anticipation. Our arrival announced by the sound of 5 silver bells suspended from red velvet ribbon hung on a plastic poinsettia bouquet on the door. Her house was tiny and saturated with tacky Christmas decorations and cigarette smoke. But to my childhood aesthetic, it was glorious. She sewed new pajamas for all of her grandchildren. She scoured newspaper ads, catalogs, and stores all over town to get us exactly the toys we had requested. She was interested in me and my happiness. She was my resilience. She was magical, and I missed her desperately. It was Sunday evening, and I was moping around the house, dreading Monday and the return to school. Fortunately, there was only 1 week left until the Christmas break. I was longing for my familiar Southern Christmas. That Thanksgiving we had spent with my stepfather's extended family. He and my mother had finally gotten married in Vegas over the summer. His family were polite, kind people, but I did not know them and fit poorly into their established routine, and I feared that Christmas would be more of the same. The phone rang. It was Granny Smith. She often took advantage of the discounted long-distance rates after 7 p.m. on Sundays. She spoke with my brother Todd and I for nearly half an hour, asked us about our life and school and how things were going, assured us she had gotten the toys that we wanted and they would be there by Christmas. But before we hung up, she asked to speak to our mother. This request made my brother and me very anxious. When our parents separated, they didn't so much dissolve a marriage as declare war on each other. My brother and I knew that the campaigns and battles of this war could be long and brutal. My mother considered Granny Smith to be in the enemy camp. They maintained a civil but strained relationship. My brother and I were always worried that hostilities might erupt whenever they spoke to each other. Granny Smith informed my mother that she had sent a Christmas package and that it should arrive in the coming week. My mother said, "Thank you, but you didn't have to do that. It's very expensive to ship things across the country. I hope you did not have to spend a lot of money." Despite their differences, my mother understood and respected that Granny Smith was a woman of very modest means. Granny had been a widow for nearly 30 years and worked mostly menial jobs. For her, money was always scarce. Granny said it wasn't very expensive at all, and I was happy to do it. They exchanged polite but tense pleasantries, wished each other Merry Christmas, and said goodbye, and my brother and I breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, on Thursday after school, the phone rang. But it wasn't the U.S. Postal Service. It was the Greyhound bus lines calling to say we had a package waiting at the bus terminal in Claremont, California. My mother said to the clerk on the phone, "I didn't even know that Greyhound shipped packages." The clerk said, "Oh, yes, ma'am, and we're much cheaper than the Postal Service because we don't deliver door to door. We have some of the cheapest rates around." My mother was a little annoyed by this since the bus station was nearly 10 miles away, but the clerk had assured her that the bus station was open 24 hours a day and that there was someone on duty at the shipping desk around the clock. We could pick the package up at any time. So after supper, we drove to the bus station. We went in to see the clerk. He confirmed that we had a package, and then he said to my mother, "You can pull your car around into the loading bay." My mother said, "What for?" He said, "Oh, the package is too large to hand over the counter." My mother said, "Are you sure you've got the right package?" This irritated the clerk, and he leaned over the counter and addressed my brother and me and said, "Are you guys Lee and Todd Smith?" We nodded and said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Then this package is for you. I'll meet you around back." We drove around to the loading bay, and the shipping clerk came to our car with a hand truck carrying a heavily reinforced cardboard box large enough to hold a dishwasher or small refrigerator. He said this barely makes it inside the maximum freight dimensions and weight restrictions as he hoisted the box into our trunk and went to get some twine to tie the trunk lid closed. My brother and I were giddy with anticipation on the drive home, wondering what the box contained. Our mother was not in such a good humor. She knew her ex-mother-in-law well and was suspicious of the box. When we got home, we had to go inside and get our stepfather. The box was too heavy for us to get out of the trunk. He grunted and complained as he sat the box down in the living room and said, "What the hell did she send, a jeweler's safe?" My brother and I tore into the box, and the smell of our granny's house wafted into the air, a combination of fried meat, grease, furniture polish, and cigarette smoke. There, beneath wadded newspaper and Excelsior, was our Southern Christmas. There were presents wrapped in colorful paper and bows to go under the tree. Neatly folded in brown paper was a new set of pajamas for both of us. There were also 2 5-count packs of Fruit of the Loom underwear in the appropriate sizes for us both. There was a countless number of decorative tins and repurposed Cool Whip containers. We opened them to find mounds of homemade Christmas treats, divinity, fudge, boiled chocolate cookies, parched peanuts, a massive container of nuts and bolts, which is what Southerners call homemade Chex Party Mix, but to which no prepackaged Chex Party Mix will ever compare. A whole fruit cake, a chocolate pound cake. She even included our traditional stocking stuffers of candy bars, chewing gum, citrus fruits, and pecans and walnuts in the shell. The box was as bottomless as Mary Poppins' satchel. As every sugary confection came out of the box, my brother and I shrieked with delight, and our mother moaned in defeat. Mother tried a last-ditch effort to hide all the confections and dole them out a few at a time, but each evening when our stepfather arrived home, he would begin to search for them, and our mother's scheme would be thwarted. Eventually, she just gave up and left it all out on the kitchen counter. Each Christmas that we spent in California, Greyhound would call and say that our package had arrived. Over the years, many treasures arrived in the box: hand-crocheted Afghans, an heirloom family quilt, homemade Christmas decorations, a check to help with the purchase of my first car. For me, it was always the best part of Christmas. Even after I moved out of the house, the box continued to arrive. My friends and roommates at college were always astounded and delighted by the contents of the box. My grandmother was able to package and ship magic and love. Granny is long gone and missed more each year. Since her death, I have discovered in conversations with my cousins that Granny came to the rescue of all of her grandchildren at one time or another, softening what would have been hard and harmful emotional landings. She did it in such a way that we each thought we were her favorite. Granny had endured a sad and difficult childhood with a mother who suffered from mental illness. She understood the importance of a child having an ally when a parent fails them. Each year, a few days after Thanksgiving, I hang Granny's plastic poinsettia bouquet with the bells on my front door to announce the arrival of holiday guests. I have mastered many of her recipes, and last year finally managed a very respectable batch of divinity. When the Christmas season arrives, I lovingly remember Granny and cherish the magic and resilience she gave me. And during the holiday season, when I see a Greyhound bus on the highway, I think to myself, in the belly of that machine may travel some child's Christmas.
I love that. Don't you? You know, I can relate to this so much, and so many things are so similar. The food, the grandma, the things that were had. So I really, really, really do appreciate seeing that because or listening to that, because I know a lot of you guys can, because what a great thing it is to get Christmas like that. And as far as Christmas, there's so many things about Christmas that are just, part of part of your life and part of who you are, and part of I don't know, just everything. I think that's why we all love Christmas, right? Because you, as you're growing up, all those traditions, all those same foods, all those same decorations, and if you don't put a decoration out, something's wrong, because where's that decoration? Because you remember it, right? So I have quite the collection over the years, of course, but I absolutely cherish that. I really, really love that. I wanted to play for you The Birds. It's one of my most favorite Paul Harveys, and I know that you're going to enjoy this because, well, I do. I know you will, because I know you guys. So this is Paul Harvey and
USA Radio.
All right, I'm going to hold on a second. For some reason, this is not able to land over on YouTube and all of those. So let me kind of reconfigure here for a second, okay? Because I'm live, so always a treat. So hold on just a second, and I will try to refigure this, okay? I know. I'm so sorry, because it's so bizarre. So I don't know why you guys aren't getting any sound. I know that you're getting sound on the stream, and I know you're getting sound other places, but
the faith we could not starve to death.
okay.
Story.
So hold on.
5 months, your
I am going
is running
to
late.
grab this.
Specification.
I can't believe you guys don't have any sound. Darn it. And I am live, so that makes this even more fun. But you know what? I know you guys understand that it's a little nuts. So hold on just a second. I'm going to try and grab this because I want you guys to be able to hear this. This is crazy, and I'm not quite sure why. So hold on just a second. I'm working with it. I'm going to try something else. So I'm going to try this one. And can you guys hear this one? Okay. That good? Okay. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. All right. There we go. sorry about that, you guys. That was so crazy, and I really apologize because I wanted people on watching the stream to be able to hear that. I don't know what happened, so sorry. Well, you know, all we can do is keep going. So all right. So let me I am going to play another one that I know you'll be able to hear. And gosh, it's just so strange. I don't know what happened. I feel so bad. All right. Okay. So the birds, you can just go on and find that. And this is John Henry Falk. So I love this one. This one I play every single year for, oh my gosh, probably 11 years now. Anyway, I think it's one of my most favorite Christmas stories, and it really kind of puts a jab into the narrative that they try to spin now, as far as we're all at each other's throats and everything's about race and da-da-da-da, because this story goes clear back, and you'll see why. This is John Henry Falk and the Christmas Story. Here you go.
The day after Christmas, a number of years ago, I was driving down a country road in Texas, and it's a bitter cold morning. And walking ahead of me on the gravel road was a little barefooted boy with nondescript ragged overalls and a makeshift sleeve of a sweater tied around his little ears. I stopped and picked him up. Looked like he was about 12 years old, and his little feet were blue with the cold. He's carrying an orange. And he got in and had the brightest blue eyes one ever saw, and he turned a bright smile on my face and says, I'm going down the road about 2 miles to my cousin's. I want to show him my orange old Santa Claus brought me. Well, I wasn't going to mention Christmas to him because I figured he came from a family that kind of don't have Christmas. But he brought it up himself. He said, did old Santa Claus come to see you, mister? And I said, yes, we had a real nice Christmas at our house, and I hope you had the same. He paused for a moment, looked at me, and then with all the sincerity in the world said, mister, we had the wonderfulest Christmas in the United States down to our place. Lordy, it was the first one we ever had there. See, we never do have them out there much. Don't notice when Christmas time comes. We'd heard about it, but never did have one because, well, you know, it's just, Papa says that old Santa Claus, Papa hoorahs a lot, said old Santa Claus was scared to bring his reindeer down into our section of the county because folks down there so hard up that they liable to catch one of his reindeer and butcher him for meat. But just several days before Christmas, a lady come out from town, and she told all the families through there, our family too, that there was old Santa Claus was coming to town to leave some things for us, and if Papa'd go in town, he could get some Christmas time for all of us. And Papa hooked up the mule and wagon. He went in town, but he told us children, said, now don't y'all get all worked up and excited because there might not be nothing to this yarn that lady told. But shucks, he hadn't got out of sight up the lane there. We was done watching for him to come back. We couldn't get our minds on nothing else, you know. And Mama, she'd come to her once in a while and say, now y'all quit that looking up the lane because Papa told you there might not be nothing. But along about the middle of the afternoon, well, we heard the team of jangling harness coming, and we ran out in the front yard, and Ernie, my little brother, called out, said, yonder come Papa. And here come them mules just in a big trot, you know, and Papa standing up right in the bed of that wagon holding 2 big old chickens, all feathers picked off. And he was just yelling, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And the team stopped right in front of the gate, and all us children just went swarming out there like a flock of chi-chis, you know, and just crawling over that wagon and looking in. And mister, I wish you could have seen what was in that wagon. It's bags of striped candy and apples and oranges and sacks of flour and some real coffee, you know, and just all tinsley and pretty. And we couldn't say nothing, just kind of held her breath and looked at it, you know, and Papa standing there just waving them 2 chickens and yelling, Merry Christmas to you, Merry Christmas to you, and a laugh and that big old grin on his face. And Mama, she come a hurrying out with baby in her arms, you know, And when she looked in that wagon, she just stopped, and then Papa, he dropped them 2 chickens and reached and caught the baby out of her arms, and held him up and said, "Merry Christmas to you, Sandy Claus," and baby little old Alvy Lee, he just laughed like he knowed it was Christmas too, And Mama, she started telling us to name all them nuts. It wasn't just peanuts. She had names for all of them. Mama knows a heap of things like that. She'd seen that stuff before, and we was all of us just chattering and going on at the same time. Us youngins are looking in there. And all of a sudden we heard Papa call out, "Merry Christmas to you, Sam Jackson." And we stopped and looked, and here comes Sam Jackson leading that old cripple-leg mule of his up the lane. And Papa said, "Sam Jackson, did you get in town and get some Christmas this year?" Sam Jackson, he sharecrops over there across the creek from our place. And he shook his head and said, "Well, no, sir, Mr. Will, I didn't go in town. I heard about that, but I didn't know it was for colored folks too. I thought it was just for you white families." All of a sudden, none of us children were saying nothing. Papa, he looked down at Mama, and Mama looked up at him, and they didn't say nothing, like they don't a heap of times, but they know what the others are thinking. They're like that, And all of a sudden, Papa, he broke out in a big grin again. He said, "Dad, blame it, Sam Jackson, it's sure a good thing you come by here. Lord have mercy, I like to forgot. Old Santa Claus would have me in court if he'd heard about this. The last thing he asked me if I lived out here near you. Said he hadn't seen you around and said he wanted me to bring part of this out here to you and your family, your woman and your children." Well, sir, Sam Jackson, he broke out in a big grin, and Papa said, "I'll tell you what to do. You get your wife and children and you come down here tomorrow morning. It's going to be Christmas time all day long. Come early and stay late." And Sam Jackson said, "You reckon?" And Mama called out to him and said, "Yes, and you tell your wife to be sure and bring some pots and pans, because we're going to have a heap of cooking to do, and I ain't sure I've got enough to take care of all of it." Well, sir, old Sam Jackson, he started off leading that mule up the lane in a full trot, and he was heading home to get the word to his folks and his children, And next morning, you remember how it was yesterday morning? Just rosy red and looked like Christmas time. It was cold, but you didn't notice the cold, and the sun just come up, just all rosy red. And us youngins were all out of bed before daylight, seemed like, just running in the kitchen and smelling and looking. And it is all there, sure enough. And here comes Sam Jackson and his team and his wife and his 5 youngins in there. And they're all looking over the edge, and we run out and yell, "Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas." And Papa said, "Christmas gift to you, Sam Jackson. Y'all come on in." And they come in, and Mama and Sister Jackson, they got in the kitchen, and they started cooking things up. And us youngins started playing Christmas time. And it's a lot of fun, We just play Christmas gift with one another and run around and around the house and just roll in the dirt, And then we started playing go up to the kitchen door and smell. And we'd run up and smell inside that kitchen door where Mama and Sister Jackson was cooking at. And then we just die laughing and roll in the dirt, and go chasing around and playing Christmas gift. And we played Christmas time till we just wore ourselves out. And Papa and Sam Jackson, they put a table up and put some sheets over it, some boards up over some sawhorses. And everybody had a place, even the baby. And Mama and Sister Jackson said, "Well, now it's ready. Come on in, we're going to have Christmas dinner." And I sit right next to Willie Jackson, and he just rolled his eyes at me, and I'd roll mine. We just died laughing, and there was an apple and an orange and some striped candy at everybody's place. And that was just dessert. See, that wasn't the real Christmas dinner. Mama and them had done cooked that up, and they just had it spread up and down the table. And so Papa and Sam Jackson, they'd been sitting on the front porch, and they come in. Papa, he sit at one end of the table, and Sam Jackson sit at the other, and it was just a beautiful table like you never had seen. And I didn't know nothing could ever look like that and smell that good, And Sam Jackson, he's real black, and he had on that white clean shirt of his and then them overalls. Everything had been washed and was real clean. Papa, he said, "Brother Jackson, I believe you're a deacon in the church. I ain't much of a church man myself, but I believe you're a deacon. Maybe you you'd be willing to give grace. Well, Sam Jackson, he stood up there, and his hands was real big, and he kind of held on to the side of the table, you know. But he didn't bow his head like a heap of folks do when they're saying blessing. He just looked up and smiled. And he said, Lord, I hope you having as nice a Christmas up there with your angels as we have it down here, because it's glorious Christmas time down here. And I just wanted to say, Merry Christmas to you, Lord. Like I say, mister, I believe that was the wonderfulest Christmas in the United States of America.
I love it. The John Henry Falk Christmas story always got to me every time I heard it. And so, and it was fun, you know, being on the radio, nationally syndicated radio. It was always, I thought, a really good experience to be able to just hear it instead of see it, you know, watch it. I'm grateful for video. I'm grateful for all those things, but there's a quality about radio. I think it was Rush Limbaugh that said the quality of radio is that you get to hear and you have your imagination and you have your mind to to entertain you rather than what's in front of you. And I've always remembered that because he said that's why radio can be impactful, is because you are just strictly listening to what's being said. And that used to get me every time. I always loved that. So I thought I would share that with you. And then of course, this was another one that I absolutely loved. This was from Kevin Kling. And this was the Christmas story about peaches. And it was called Merry Stressful Christmas. I know a lot of you guys are going to be able to relate to this for sure. All right, let's see. Here we go.
Are like a good wine, and that they grow out of stress, and like a fine wine, they get better with age. In my family, a single phrase opens a story like a door to a cross between an advent calendar and a haunted house, each portal harboring a ghost of Christmas past. There was the year of the salad dressing, when my sister's new husband, eager to make a good impression on our family, leapt up at the Christmas dinner table to dress the salad. Unfortunately, he hadn't checked to see if the cap was on the bottle, so as he smiled and shook the bottle, the family looked on with horror as Italian salad dressing flew over his shoulder and all over the new curtains. The year of the peaches happened decades before my birth. During Prohibition, my grandfather had made some of his famous homebrew and left it to ferment in the cellar. During Christmas dinner, while the preacher sat at the table, some of the bottles began to explode. Everybody knew the sound and what it was, but my grandfather, without batting an eye, looked at my grandmother and said, "There go your peaches, honey," a catchphrase in our family ever since. My first memory is the year of the TV dinner. As kids, when we went to the grocery store, my brother and I usually sat in the car while my mom shopped. She'd crack a window and we were fine. Actually, I enjoyed hours of enforced boredom, sitting in the car, staring out the window, looking at the car next to us with a kid looking at me. But this year was a huge shop and it was 10 degrees out, so we got to go in, pleading the whole time to go down the cereal aisle for Lucky Charms. As Mom loaded up the shopping cart, we hung off the opposite side, stretching out our arms and singing the Hawaii Five-0 theme song. Suddenly, I got a terrific idea for a science project. If I jumped off, would my brother's weight be sufficient to topple the cart? Well, the answer was yes, quite sufficient. He lay in the aisle under a metal cart and all the fixins, screaming in pain. My mom said, "No, Stephen, no, look, you're fine, and your turkey is fine, see?" My turkey? Yes, your turkey, see here? He carried the frozen turkey the rest of the way to the checkout counter, hiccup crying, "My turkey." 2 weeks later, when the time came to thaw the turkey, it was nowhere to be found. Who would have taken the turkey? Turns out my brother had. He'd figured if somebody broke in the house for his turkey, the freezer was the first place they'd look. So he'd kept it under his bed. Now, all of a sudden, that smell made sense. Also, the fact that every night for the past 2 weeks, I noticed he slept with a loaded bow and arrow in his bed. I kept thinking any of those nights my dad could have popped in to check on us, only to be plugged by my brother. So that was the year we ate TV dinners. Finally, last year was the year of the dog. Now, we have this dachshund named Fafner, and dachshunds were bred to hunt badgers, which are known to be fierce. At first, I felt sorry for the little dachshunds until I owned one. Now I pity the badger. Last Christmas, I brought Fafner to our family gathering, and there was food on the dining room table, so I warned everyone to watch out. At home, we call him a counter-terrorist. Suddenly, Fafner made his move. Quick as a flash, he was on the table, right to the bowl of my sister-in-law's famous oatmeal cookies. Fafner quickly deduced if he started eating cookies, he may get 1 or 2 down before I collared him. So with his face, he smashed all the cookies to tiny bits, then inhaled the entire supply. It took only seconds, but was so violent and swift, nobody had moved. Nobody spoke of the incident the rest of the day, and I was ashamed. Fafner seemed pleased. I mean, it couldn't have gone better. The next day, as more family arrived, my brother turned to a cousin, pointed at Fafner, and said, "You see that dog? You couldn't believe what that dog can do." Then he recounted this story with a pride reserved for an honor student. The rest of my family joined in, adding color and details. They patted him like, "See, and I can touch him." Overnight, Fafner had achieved legendary status in a story that would be recounted time and again. And I was reminded how love thrives in audacity. It's why so many girls in high school fell for the wrong guy. It's also why a good holiday needs a bit of tragedy. This week, I'm visiting my family, and I know something will happen. Oh, yes, it will happen. But until then, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Stressmas and a very happy
Kevin
holiday.
Kling. So I always love that one too. There's so many, and I've played them through the years. I've always done, kind of a pre-Christmas show. I'll be back for the Monday and Tuesday before New Year's, but I will be off tomorrow and then next week. And I love this time of year. I truly do. And I love the focus on Christ. I love all the traditions. I love the food. The food is the bomb. The food is amazing. And so appreciative of you. And thank you for tuning in, for being supportive, because it's been a rough year. This was a censorship year, and I wasn't expecting that, wasn't expecting to get censored on July for Independence Day, and it was a rough one. And so I appreciate all your patience in hanging on and through the summer and seeing if I was going to come back on the air. And I turned the website into a radio station, so it's katedalleyradio.com, and all the sponsors are there. And make sure that it hit the sponsors, because it truly keeps me on the air. I can't do it without them. And there are some of you that are so helpful to me, and I really appreciate you guys so much. I just want you guys to know that, because when you're sharing the show and YouTube has been really sporadic, because I'm always in YouTube jail, so I never know if I'm going to be on YouTube, and that's why the numbers aren't very high on YouTube, because I'm always in jail. Well, I'm on Rumble, I'm on X. You can always watch it on X as well, and I just really. You're appreciated more than you know. And I really love what I do. I love telling the truth, and I like being able to kind of field out different theories for things too, because, there's a lot of government lies going on. So, and as we speak, it just never ceases to amaze me. And yet nothing will shock me at this point, for what we're seeing. And check out this week's shows, because the false flag show, that was like rapid fire false flag. Like that was like, let's go through bing, 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 the false flags and some of the evidence behind those that really showcased how many lies are being told. And there's so much fakery out there. But I'll tell you, the one thing that's true is that Christ did come, and he was born. And I have such a testimony of him, and a testimony of his atonement, and the reason that he did, and what it did for mankind. So there's only a few things, right, that I know are true. Other than that, it's all up for grabs, because as far as the government narratives, as far as the press goes, as far as the dramatized exchanges between people and all the crap that we endure in the press, I still have a lot of hope. And the reason I do is because of Christ. So to celebrate his birth is what would I do without it? So that's what gives me hope, right? And I have a lot of hope in mankind. I mean, there's a certain section of mankind that's hard, but I'm trying to be patient. I swear I'm trying, but I do love those of you that are awake, because there's a special group of you that really see it and have the eyes to see. And that's really, it gives me a lot more hope than you think. So really appreciate you guys. And I just want to leave you with that, actually. So I was going to play for you the song It's, let me just, do you guys remember me playing this in 2021? I think it was 2021, 22, and 23. Here we go. I just have to, it's funny. Okay. So just here we go.
It's beginning to look a lot like genocide everywhere you go. Listen to what they said. Your government wants you dead, with booster jabs that last forevermore.
It's true.
It's beginning to look a lot like genocide with every jab you take. But the only thing you'll see if you're watching BBC is that all fake.
I had to cut out some words. It's the last 5 years have been really a wild ride. And from day one, we were pointing out the COVID lies. And I remember guests coming on the show and saying, how are you getting away with saying what you're saying? And truly, it's been eye-opening for people the last 5 years. And I'm so glad for that. We've talked a lot about the lies even before that, but the last 5 years have really showcased the depth of how big a lie can be. And I've really appreciated the music coming out of that. And even for Christmas, it was pretty funny. We shared that on several shows for Christmas, and I just could not stop laughing. I mean, it was just like, you have to, because otherwise you'll cry, right? So this is why I love this time of year. This time of year, focus on Christ, kick all the other stuff to the curb, have a week without all the other stuff. We'll come back to it after the week of Christmas, and I'll be here with more insights on more research, if you will. I've got a lot of research piling up, and I'd like to cover a lot of things, even down to Soylent Green. I mean, we're going to talk about everything, and I'll do a couple of those shows in between Christmas and New Year's this year. But I just wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas and thank you for just for everything. I your support has been just such a huge thing for me. So I really appreciate it. And then check out the shows and share the shows. I'm going to be putting up a whole lot of short videos, the short videos that are, they are, easy things to share and some points that we make on the show. So I just wanted you guys to know I'm going to be doing that, and you can share those, and they'll be on the Kate Daly Facebook page, right? Facebook show. Oh my gosh, the Kate Daly Show Facebook page. No, I'm not into the eggnog. I swear. Oh my gosh, I can't talk today. All right, you guys, thank you so much. And of course, Merry Christmas. And I'll see you back here, not this coming Monday and Tuesday, but the following Monday and Tuesday. And between Christmas and New Year's, hit the page. Please visit the sponsors. Really appreciate that. And of course, thanks for listening in today. And go listen to Paul Harvey, The Birds, if you didn't catch that. Okay. Thanks, you guys.